Good evening. My name is Alan, and today I am facilitating a session of my game of Dark Age monster hunting, inspired by Monster of the Week and lots of other PBTA games. To be honest, as we play, you may spot various bits of technology lifted from a variety of different games. So yes, this is set in the Dark Ages. It is about 200 years after the Roman legions have left Britannia to look after itself, and about 200 years before the Age of Vikings. And in terms of media touchstones, though that Age of Vikings is 200 years in the future, the technology and the look and feel of the setting is not dissimilar from The Last Kingdom or Vikings, which you may have seen on the TV. This game is organized as part of the Gauntlet RPG community's monthly calendar. The Gauntlet, if you don't know about the Gauntlet, please do search Gauntlet RPG, and you will be taken to our front end webpage, where you can find out about this calendar, how it works, the kind of games we run, which are mostly narrative, story, indie, OSR. Generally speaking, though I do notice someone at the moment is running a series of Star Trek adventures, and so other stuff crops up. So, but also we have a series of podcasts and a monthly, bi-monthly, varies a bit, zine called Codex. I have to say, as Codex is getting bigger, I think we're up to 95 pages this month. As it gets bigger, it tends to go from monthly to closer to month and a half, 2 months. So the Gauntlet is a community of people who just get together and play online. We cover the globe. Today we are covering the UK, Europe, and North America. And yeah, come and play with us. And if you're interested in playing with us, then on the weekend starting on the 16th of July is the second Gauntlet Community Open Gaming Weekend. This is a chance to come and just sign up for games and play with us and see if you think that the way we play games and the games we play are of interest to you. If they are, then that weekend you can come and play just as a one-off, no commitment. If you do think the Gauntlet is a good thing, then we have a Patreon, and that Patreon at different levels offers different access. At a certain level, you get priority access to games like these. And I hope you enjoy this game as much as I'm sure we will. So with that in mind, so we are in Dark Age, what will be Dark Age England, the north of England. And we'll see where some returning, some new characters take the story. So let me begin then by asking our players to say hello and just say something about their characters. So Sabine, would you like to kick off? Say hello and tell us about Iamon.
Hi, I'm Sabine. I use any pronouns. I'm going to play Iamon, son of Uther, who uses he, him pronouns. He is a monster hunter. He has hunted several monsters, among them giants and demons and a moonlit boar, which he all overcame for some reason. He also has met a princess, and well, there was this strong, silent fighter and this beautiful princess, and for some reason now they're married, even though it's not very advantageous, at least to her. So that's where he is right now. Also, she's a princess in exile.
Yes.
Also, my video's lagging. I don't know why.
Yeah, I just thought you'd want to know. I put it in the chat. But the sound is fine, Sabine. Yes, yeah. Princess Manugia is now the exiled princess of the Kingdom of Elmet after it was invaded and annexed by the largest Saxon power in the country, Northumbria. Who knows where that will go? Next, can I ask Will to say hello and tell us something about Blackwyn?
Hi. My name's Will. My pronouns are he, him, as are those of my character, Blacwyn, the Hammer of the Gods. A big angry man who was left for dead in a raid several years ago and has been on the path for revenge due to the loss of his daughter. Though recently he has found out that his daughter survived and has been an outlaw for these many years. And Iamon was the person who made him aware of this. So, yeah, Blackwyn has spat in the eyes of the gods when they've told him that he won't get his revenge, and famously lost a hand fighting a werewolf skin changer. And as of last session, the Celtic gods, he did them a boon, and they restored his hand with a hand of solid silver, or, silver-like substance or whatever, which is apparently a Celtic myth, which I can't remember off the top of my head anymore.
I think it's Lug silver-handed, I think, but I'd need to look it up again. So yes, Hammer of the Gods, when you're a hammer, every problem is a nail.
Yes, yeah, and so far, it's worked out pretty well, frankly.
yeah, amazingly so. Next, Robbie. Robbie, say hello and reintroduce us to Tuka, because she again is a returning character, though from some time ago.
My name is Robbie. I use he, him pronouns. I am playing Tuka, uses she, her pronouns. She is a commoner. That is the playbook that Tuka comes from. She also is accompanied by her always reliable mule named Venus. And I guess we will have to see the character that Tuka has a previous relationship with most strongly is Iamon, and that relationship goes back to their childhood, and yeah, so I think we will have to see that there certainly was some. I guess you would say that it's built up that there may well be some tension here, especially with the recent marriage of Iamon. But Tuka had received premonitions that Iamon had a higher fate from childhood, and she kind of feels like that there is some type of fateful power that is kind of driving Iamon's destiny. Yeah, but that is Tuka.
Yeah, it was wonderful to know Tuka was coming back, because there was definitely in previous sessions a hint of a certain kind of frisson, and a little bit of guilt on Amon's part, and so yeah, complicated times now that Amon is married to a princess. And finally, Lara, say hello and introduce us to Modthryth, the who is an entirely new character we've not met before.
Yeah, hi, I'm Laura. My pronouns are she, her. My character also has the same pronouns. Modthryth is plays from the Loon handbook. Yeah, so she's a bit out there. She's seen some pretty messed up things in her life. Her family was destroyed by a group of monsters tearing through the village. She lost all 5 of her siblings and her mother and father in that raid, I guess. And ever since then, she's been positive that these voices in her head have been talking to her and have been trying to lead her down the path of the good and narrow, and she just wants to help the people around her avoid the same fate that she met.
So can I ask about Modthryth then? You've chosen as her heroic virtue courage, and one of the questions that I want to ask you is, how did Modthryth come to know that was her virtue, that it was her fated virtue? Was this during this raid or subsequently?
Yeah, so she fought tooth and nail to protect all of her siblings, but particularly one of her siblings. It was the youngest one, didn't even have a name yet. She called her Bo, but she saw Bo get viciously murdered. So ever since then, she is sworn to protect those who cannot protect themselves, and that oftentimes gets her into trouble.
Okay, well, if you can just put a précis of that in that bit of the character keeper, that would be really helpful. Thank you. What I want to touch on now, I guess, is relationships. Now, in your introductions, sorry, I because I now put it up in front of me on the screen, I forget to sometimes say to people who will be listening on the podcast that my pronouns are he, him. So there are some existing relationships, and relationships in this game are built around the idea of debts of honor. And debts of honor can be called in for various circumstances, and can be cleared by doing certain things for certain people. So at the minute, we have some existing relationships. So we know that Amon and Blackwyn have a relationsh't. On the one hand, Amon owes Blackwyn a debt because at some point, and the details I have to say now escape me, Amon was poisoned and Blackwyn helped out. But equally, as I think when Will was introducing Blackwyn, it was Amon who had met his daughter Adwyn and told him that she was in fact alive. And when they parted, I think it was that he was going to go and find her while Amon returned to his princess. And I suppose, Blackwyn, I'm interested in what therefore brings you to the isolated mountain fastness where the survivors of the royal court of Elmet are now holed up. What has brought you back?
I think it's one of those, I am one step behind Adwyn every time. I go there and she's just been there and she's left, kind of thing. And there was, wherever I went to, there were rumors that she was seeking shelter with other exiles and outlaws, including her dear friend Amon and his wife.
So you are at this, and this mountain fastnet is a couple of, crude huts on a mountainside in a valley, away from the royal seat at Verbea, which is now occupied by Saxons. So you have come back still in search of Adwyn. That's the reason. That's what I needed to understand. Thank you. There's also a relationship, as we've touched on, going back decades, between Amon and Tuka. And Tuka, I'm curious, because at one point you served Manugia, but whatever happened to you in the intervening fiction, Tuka has not been on the scene whenever Manugia has been in sessions. So where have you been since you left the service of Princess Manugia?
That is a good question. I suppose kind of going the bits of Tuka's backstory. I have a kind of a similar history to Modthryth, and so that's something that we might follow up on. But I also had a family that was tragically assaulted by swamp ogres and was raised by an elderly woman who had been shunned by her clan. But she had raised me. So I wonder, I guess one possibility would be that I had learned that this woman who had raised me was ailing, and I had gotten word of that and had to kind of go back and of course tend to her and make sure that she was back to her normal self.
So yeah, I mean I think that's a really neat kind of way to make this work. So was her separation from Manugia by way of a kind of leave of absence? Was she going and then expected to come back? Because now I know what she's been doing. My next question is, so what brings you back to the settlement where Manugia is sheltering?
Yeah, that would make sense. That would make sense that I had thought that, okay, that this would be a quick temporary thing, and that I would be kind of coming back to continue my service.
Okay, so so have you just come back? Do we, in our opening scenes, do we see Tuka making her way with Bennis the mule through the hills, then into the mountains, up this steep-sided valley to where the princess is taking refuge?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think that for dramatic reasons, that would be a kind of delightful thing.
You see, who needs a GM when you've got people just looking for the opportunities? Thank you. Okay. I am curious, I guess, whether Blackwyn and Tuka have ever crossed paths.
I am more than willing to have done so in Blackwyn's many bloody wanderings around, whichever part of England this is, I forget.
Well, it's Yorkshire.
Yeah, well, of course it's Yorkshire. Yes. Everything's leads back to Ripon in the end, doesn't it?
It does. So yeah, is there one of those debts of honor that you would like to put on the table, Blackwyn? Because each playbook has a set of suggestions.
Yes, I did consider this. However, it occurs to me that probably thanks to playing Blackwyn multiple times, I have used every one of those with different characters. So I was perhaps going to wonder if Tuka, or if we establish with Tuka and Modthryth, they would like to offer me one rather than the other way around, and I'm happy to choose one if they don't, kind of thing.
That's a good idea. So Robbie, having have a look at the various debts that are on the playbook, is there one of those that you would like to have in play in relation to Blackwyn?
Okay. So, I mean, one of these is saved me from a monster. That's pretty direct.
I mean, I think I'm happy with that, if it's because I have also had that with the previous comment, but I feel like saved you from a monster is a kind of like general one, as opposed to my ones, which are quite sort of they were in the same village as you when you were massacred, kind of thing. And I'm like, by the end of this, I'm gonna have this whole village surviving to fight on another day. So yeah,
people will begin to ask why you're on a mission of revenge when actually there are so many survivors.
Yeah, including this person I'm out for revenge for. So yeah.
I guess the other one that does intrigue me is one of mine is he revealed a dark truth to me. Ask them when, what, how, and owe them.
Okay. A dark truth. I revealed to you that I suspect the reason the village was attacked was because I was there. And so I'm ultimately the bad blood that I caused in my previous life before, settling down in the village was the reason that my village was massacred. And the guilt haunts me. But not as much as the anger.
Does that work from Tuka's point of view?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So if you can just make a note of that on the character keeper, just as an aid memoir for me, as much as anything else.
Mhm.
And then let's talk about Modthryth. Modthryth, are there any of the suggested debts of honor that you'd like to have in play? And I suppose this could be offered up to anyone.
I'm trying to find the debts of honor. Which is that in?
They're on the back of the playbook, so they're the reverse side of the playbook.
Okay. Aha, I see. Let's see. I mean, I'm liking the blank knew you before and has helped you. Ask them what drove you to madness and owe them.
Is because you have no links to any of these characters, so is there anyone who particularly would like to pick that one up? Just as for reference, I notice you've gone for a Romano-British heritage, which would suggest you're slightly, you were born into a slightly higher social level than other Celts. So you may have been somebody. Does anybody want to try and invent some backstory for Modthryth?
I mean, I guess that was like somebody protected you. I've been protecting people. I've been monster hunter. I mean, I do that by definition because I hunt these things, and I don't do it because I like hunting monsters. I do it because I like saving people. So
you knew Modthryth before she lost it, Eamon. Therefore, so what drove Modthryth off the edge? What were the circumstances?
Well, I assume would be the death of her family, right? And the fact that she couldn't protect them. If that's okay with you, Lara?
And so how did Eamon help you, Modthryth? If that is what happened, how did Eamon help you at some point?
So I imagine Amon was actually probably there during the raid and was trying to stop it. And so I think that I didn't see it at the time, but him saving me was actually what helped me. It allowed me to hear the voices that are now in my head and instill this like sense of purpose in me now. And I think that's what got me through the deaths of my family.
Okay, so then if Modthryth then is going to owe Eamon a debt, okay, so let me think. We've got Eamon, Blackwyn, we've got Blackwyn Tuca, we've got Tuca Eamon. So it is now whether the pressure's all on Modthryth at this point, isn't it? Or would someone like to offer a debt up for Modthryth to take? Because I'm just conscious of not wanting to put all the pressure on Lara at this point. Unless, of course, she's just wants to put more of those debts in play. So I should ask you first, Lara, whether you want more of those debts in play for Modthryth.
I mean, yeah, I'm happy to put something forward.
Go on.
Okay. So I think that Blackwyn is suspicious, but I think that they're worth watching out for.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, ask them why and owe them.
So why Blackwyn is suspicious? Why do you think so? Why on earth would a silver-handed killing machine be at all suspicious?
Yes, why would a man who leaves behind more dead bodies everywhere he goes be suspicious at all? Yeah. I mean, I think it must be that. I think it must be the, am I really seeking revenge, or is that just my excuse for, my essentially raiding my banditry, practically? Am I just dressing it up in prettier colours, kind of thing? And now I've come back. Now next time you see me, I've got a bloody magical hand, which is, perhaps I'm the monster the whole time.
Ooh, went the crowd. Will we finally see Blackwyn crack and turn? And finally, it's then, Modthryth, whether you want to establish any kind of connectivity to Tuka.
I mean, I don't know. Tuka, do you think that we were in the same town that was raided, or raided by the same band of ogres, or?
I don't think it needs to be the same one. I mean, I think though that there, I mean, I think, knowing a little bit of your backstory, I think would deeply resonate though with Tuka, right? That she would, I mean, both that story, and then I think also, being, I imagine the loon is normally something of a little outsider, and so I think there's also a resonance between Modthryth's position as something of a kind of weird outsider that would resonate with this elderly woman who raised Tuka, who kind of also had like similar attitudes, I think, that were expressed towards her.
I feel a flashback coming on, Tuka. We flash back to the deathbed of your former mentor. And clearly she has moments to live. And I think probably you have thanked her for everything she did for you. And how much she meant to you. And she draws you down. And in her last breath, she says something like, now I shall be your example. Go forth and help others in need. Does that work for you?
Yeah, no, I think that does. Yep.
So I think we just come up with a custom debt, which if I was to phrase it as something like, Modthryth reminds me of me and needs looking after.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Yes. Because I think there is a kind of generational thing going on here, perhaps. So Tuka, you will owe Modthryth a debt. Modthryth, you have one in hand for Tuka. Yeah? The they owe, you owe can get a little bit confusing, but if it does, just let me know.
Have you changed that, Alan, since our last game?
I have. I've tried to make what I've tried to do is to make the ones where they owe you are now positive numbers, because that is to your advantage. The ones where they owe you, where you owe them rather, are minus numbers, because those are debts they can call in. So it's potentially to your disadvantage.
And you've separated them out into a row for each positive or negative as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just to explain to Lara and Robbie, one of the ways you can call in a debt is to cancel out a debt. But you don't have to use them that way. There's no sense in which they have to be mirror images. Okay. So then let us begin. Let's suppose then that
Amon?
oh, sorry, go on.
Safety tools, please.
Oh, sorry. Yes, sorry. Thanks. So yeah, we are playing with safety tools. We are playing with lines, veils, the X card in the open door. I've played with all these players before, so they know about the X card. This is a way to just pause play. If anything makes you uncomfortable in a bad way, then just, the simplest way for me is to signal the X card. Put it in the chat, but I have to say I tend to look at your faces and not monitor the chat very well. So if I don't respond to something that crops up in the chat and one of the other players notices it, then please do get my attention to it. The X card is a way of just pausing play when someone's uncomfortable for any reason. There is I will not inquire why that something has made somebody uncomfortable. But I may ask you how far you want me to rewind the fiction back so we can hopefully play forward and get round the stuff that was in any way disturbing. And don't worry if the first time something comes up, you let it slide by and think, oh, it's okay. And then it comes up again, you think, actually, no, it's not okay. Don't worry. You can always play the X card. Doesn't matter if something's already got into the fiction and you let it slide past on the one occasion. You can always play the X card. We're playing with an open door. That means that if something comes up, either because something in the fiction, you just need to take a breather, need to step away from the table, the virtual table, that's fine. The open door is there for all of us to use. And sometimes stuff happens in the real world, doorbell goes, whatever, sometimes just step away. We will always hope that you will step back, but there's no obligation. And particularly, the open door is there that if this is not the game you thought it was going to be, and it is not a game you're enjoying, God forbid you feel tied to the table. We're here to have fun. If you're not having fun, then, goodness me, there's no need to stay. So the open door is there. We're also playing with the Gauntlet Code of Conduct. That is the norms and routines that we try to play to in the Gauntlet to make this a friendly, welcoming, and open space that values people. I sometimes summarize the Code of Conduct as "don't be a dick," but it's rather more sophisticated than that. And finally, we're playing with lines and veils. Lines are those things which will not appear in the fiction. I've set up some starting lines. There is a tab in the character keeper. So my starting lines are on sexual assault and violence, cannibalism as positive, torture by the PCs. This is meant to be a kind of heroic Beowulfian story, and so we don't really want to see the PCs torturing folks. Death and endangerment of children is a line. We won't see that in the fiction. Given the setting, there's a kind of implied this is a dangerous and nasty world, but we won't see it in the fiction. Animal abuse has been added, I think, and can I just check if one of you has added eyeballs, that's fine. If eyeballs are there because I cut and pasted this across and I didn't take it out, that's fine equally. So I'm going to untick eyeballs because I think that was there when I copied it across. If eyeballs are an issue, somebody just retick it. So those are the lines. I would say to you, just add any other lines and I'll check in at intervals just to see what's appeared on that tab, just to make sure I don't cross any lines. If it looks like I'm crossing lines, then that's where the X card comes in. In terms of veils, veils on torture. So the bad guys may torture you, but we won't see that on screen. We will draw a veil across that action. And similarly, because I'm old and British, sex is veiled. So consensual sex, I put a veil on. Again, if you want to put any more veils in, please do. There's another column that we've introduced recently, which is ask first. I will try to do that if you put something in the ask first. I find that one quite a difficult one to moderate sometimes because I forget. I don't go back to that tab often enough, but I will try to make a note of it. And there may be some stuff that you are actively interested in happening. And if nobody else has lined or veiled it or asked first, then you're perfectly at liberty to say, I'm particularly interested in rats, spiders, bugs, or gore, for instance. So so please do make use of that tab. And I think I've covered that. Thanks for the reminder, Sabine. Much appreciated. So let's start the action then. I think probably the logical place to start is with Eamon, because Eamon lives here in this couple of huts on a hillside, which used to be a royal court. And we have some. Hang on, let me just see if I can do this. No, that's not the one I want. This is the one I want. Hang on, excuse me. There we go. Okay, so there is the mountain fastness. It really is in the back of Beyond. It is just a couple of huts, and you know, very little else. And in these couple of huts is Princess Manugia's younger brother, the new young King Sertigan, because his father and elder brother were killed when the kingdom was taken by the Saxons. He was not intended to be king. He was the younger brother, and so was being prepared for the church, but now sees himself thrust into the role of exiled king. Very few of Manugia's father's followers escaped the battle, which they lost when the Saxons invaded. But Treadness was the leader of the king's warband, and is the young king's strong right hand. He is strong and silent, and good at his job of protecting, though I dare say he is feeling great guilt currently at the fall of the royal house he has served all his life. There is Princess Manugia, Eamon's relatively new wife. I think probably I would have thought maybe 6 to 8 months of married life behind them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Bishop Ivurius survived and escaped. He was the old king's senior advisor, and he sees himself as the young king's most senior advisor, though it has to be said that he is now not technically a bishop, as the Episcopal Church at Verbea, the capital of Elmet, has been razed by the Saxons. So his bishopric is gone, but he still claims his bishop status. And finally, Neva. This is both the old king, the new king, and Manugia's wet nurse. She has served the family for a generation and a half, and she too escaped the sack of Verbea. So that is the cast of characters that we begin with, Eamon. So what do we see Eamon doing as we open?
Good question, I guess. Why is that still frozen? It's so weird. Why do I have to roll for your parties open? Okay, sorry. Yeah, I'm thinking. What is Iamon doing? I think he has. I don't know how is his relationship with his brother-in-law.
You tell me.
Oh, cool. So, okay. Oh my gosh. My face froze in a weird position. Sorry. I'm rolling just to see. Okay, it's a 7. So it's, well, yeah. He's not too happy because, I mean, he could have married his sister to some allies or something. But on the other hand, well, she's not married to a demon, and he's young enough to think that, yeah, okay, he's a demon hunter. And there was this bard. You remember this bard who has told these funny stories, not fun, these epic stories about Iamon, and maybe he was a bit impressed by that. So he's a bit of two minds about this guy. And Iamon is not, he's not a courtier. He's not very good at being polite to people who are powerful. I mean, he can keep us together, but he just doesn't like somebody, he will show it. But he's trying. He's really trying to be nice and friendly and helpful to his brother-in-law. I think what we can see now is that Iamon has been somewhere in the wilderness hunting something. Probably, actually, some Saxons that were looking for the court, and he has returned.
Always
triumphantly.
Amon always
his wife's horse.
Yes, I think Sertigan is torn between because she was betrothed to a Mercian noble, and unfortunately it was discovered that Mercian noble was in fact possessed by a demon. So I guess he is torn between gratitude to Iamon for saving Manugia from that, but also the missed opportunity of the potential alliance with Mercia, which frankly he needs. Okay, so we see you being feasted, perhaps. Now, being feasted in this mountain fastness is not up to a great deal, it must be said. But you know, there is a table that has been put together in the larger of the huts, and the king and his court, such as it is. So there are kind of 5 of you sat around this table. It is late autumn. It is late summer, early autumn, probably. Winter will be coming soon, and so most of those people who followed the royal family into exile, or were prepared to support them, have had to go back and get their crops in. So you are particularly short-handed, and a thin winter is foreshadowed. But happily, Treadness and Sertigan returned with a mountain sheep that they hunted down just yesterday, and so there is meat to eat, but it is a fairly meager meal. I think at that point, I'm just wondering whether, Tuka, you are coming back. You would hope to return to Verbea and the grand hall of Manugia's father, but after some investigation, you have tracked down where they are hiding. So I think Tuka, and if it's okay with you, I think Tuka and Modthryth will arrive together with that kind of looking after Modthryth kind of thing going on for the minute. Maybe you found her on the road, I don't know. But let's have that little scene. What do we see in the conversation between Tuka and Modthryth as they make their way at dusk up this valley in search of Minutia?
I mean, I think Tuka is as we travel further along, I think Tuka is expressing concern, says, well, Sertigan certainly has fallen from the pedestal. With each step that I take down this road, the deeper and deeper we get into what seems to be wilderness, and the more troubling the situation seems to be, at least to my eyes. But at least this environment, though, is not totally foreign to me. I have certainly traveled down many roads in my life, and you know, at the very least, I do not smell any Saxons in the area.
Indeed. Do not worry, young one. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. People rise and fall from power all the time. It is a fact of life. I do not think it is anything to worry your little head about.
Modthryth, I mean, you are Romano-British. You had some social standing.
Mm-hmm.
Is that where that comes from?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've lost everything. And so it's just like, yeah, people, you fall from power, it happens, you move on.
Very philosophical. And so you will see the light in the hut, and then there's a smaller hut.
Ask a question. How old is Modthryth? Sorry.
No, so I actually think that she might be close to the same age as Tuka. But yeah.
So there's a light on the hillside, and then you're aware of someone coming up behind you. Tuka, what do you do?
Yeah, I think, you know, looking at the light, I say, it looks like we may be approaching the end of our tunnel, but Tuka looks behind where the sound is coming from and says, and I'm assuming then that is this like twilight time? I mean, is the sun is setting right now? So
sun is setting.
Yeah,
and you can see a darkly cloaked figure making their way up the hillside behind you, following the same path you followed.
Yeah, so I say, you know, we seem to be approaching the end of the tunnel, so that certainly warms my heart. But it seems that we have another traveler approaching us. Why don't we maybe step off the path and see who it is that approaches? And I think you know, Tuka will take Bennis. She's trying to appear calm, and she doesn't see any need to panic, although she knows to be on her guard. So she will, you know, take Bennis off to the side and put Bennis somewhere to stay, and then await to see who it is that approaches.
Modthryth, I just noticed a playbook move of yours that says when someone offers you sensible advice on what you should do. I'm just curious what you do, Modthryth.
Well, I think Modthryth just kind of shakes her head at Tuka and says, "Silly girl, we continue on. They might want to join us for this lovely walk. It is a beautiful evening out. We should all enjoy this together," and goes and approaches the hooded figure.
And what the move says is you can owe your gods a debt to gain advantage while pursuing your chosen (ill-advised ? Course of action. So, Modthryth, do you want to pay your gods a debt of honor?
Why not?
Okay, and what that means is advantage means you roll 3 dice while following your chosen course of action, and take the top 2 when working out what happens. So, Tuka, she's marching off down the hill towards this hooded and cloaked figure.
Tuka, under her breath, is saying, I have a lot of work on my hands, I can see, with this one. And she will, you know, she will kind of jog behind Modthryth. And you know, she again, she's not panicking at this point, but she is wary. So she has a knife that she carries. So she's not going to pull out the knife, but she'll have one hand on the knife, ready to go if the need requires.
Now, Bennis is a sensible mule. And so by the time you get Bennis turned around and heading back down the hillside, when he can smell hay and a bit of shelter up the hill, I think Modthryth is going to get to this hooded figure before you. So Modthryth, as you approach this figure, hooded and hunched against the oncoming chill of evening, what do we see you do, Modthryth?
Lovely weather we're having.
And the figure pulls back the hood and says, "Hello, human girl."
Girl, I am a woman. I refuse to be treated as such. What are you?
I am but a humble messenger.
A messenger from whom, may I ask, and for who?
From my queen, and I go there. And she points up the hillside to the royal court. Blackwyn, what do you do when you see the troll that you have been tracking talking to a young human woman?
I unhook my axe and flex out my shield arm and bellow out, "Troll!"
And she looks away and says, "He looks very dangerous." What do you do, Modthryth?
I think Modthryth kind of looks at the silver hand and is like, "Indeed, that is a very menacing looking hand right there. But that is where you are going, is it not?"
I mean, I think in terms of Blackwyn's actions, is there a reason I've been hunting this troll, or is it just the fact that I've come across a troll?
You have come across troll track. The spoor of troll.
And I do not know my Celtic versions of trolls. But would they be, like monstrous in nature, like predatory, or would they be a bit of a sort of who knows what at the time?
They're not. Trolls are typically enormous, dangerous, and very territorial. This creature is, I guess if she stood up straight, she might be 8 feet tall. But she's so hunched and bent.
Blackwyn's gonna yell, "Get away from the girl, troll!"
And the troll turns to Modthryth and says, "I only came to bring a message."
I think Modthryth's voices in her head are beginning to get a little stirred up. They're not quite sure what's going on. So I think that she's probably going to back away from both Blackwyn and the troll and say, "Well, maybe you can give your message to this one. You both seem equally dangerous at the moment, so I'm sure that you two have a lot to talk about."
I think that's probably Tuka when you catch up with the action. So what do you do when you see this unfolding before you, Tuka?
Tuka will first of all look to kind of put herself beside, or even if possible in front of Modthryth to she is very on high alert right now. She at this point would have her hand. She would have pulled her knife out at this point, and she is going to. Has she heard a little bit of this exchange of the?
I think so. it's dramatically sensible for her to have heard.
So she says, "Who exactly do you claim to come from, troll?
My queen,
And who is your queen?"
Germund.
And what does Germund have to do with the city on the hill?
I come to tell them of a debt. Blackwyn, conversation is going on. What does Blackwyn's posture tell us?
I think Blackwyn suspiciously eyes the troll, and it's like, aren't you a bit far from your own grounds here?
That's the point, human boy. These are our grounds.
And you want them back?
I simply come to bring a message to the man in the hall.
Well, and he looks up and thinks back of, he knows at least one person will be up in that hall, and realizes that, a capable monster hunter will be a useful blade at his back if it comes to a fight. And he says, well, why don't you lead on then? We can all deliver our message together.
And she puts the hood up and begins to make her way up the hillside.
Yeah. Can I just turn over to the other two for a second and nod at them again, like in recognition of Tuka, and I'm like, I can't remember either of you Christian.
Yes, I am.
Don't get too close to the troll. I hear they like Christian blood.
And I think then we cut to the hall, or to the larger of the two huts, and to one of Treadness's 2 or 3 men, I think, who will be taking it in turns to guard the little settlement. It's practically a farm, if nothing. Settlement's too strong. And he's come into the hall, Eamon, and says, Lord, people coming up the hill.
Pretty sure he's not talking to me. Amon is no lord.
Oh no, he's talking to Sertigan. And
exactly. So I'm waiting for what he wants to do.
And I think Treadness will be the first to act. And he'll look at you and the man who's brought the message, and say, quick, we don't know who they are, and makes his way out, grabbing his spear on the way.
I follow him. Maybe they're probably they're Saxons, right? And I say, yeah, well, and I grab my axe as well, and then I grab that's some of the bread, right? Because you never know when you get to
and as you go out, I think Treadness will say to you, did they follow you back, Eamon?
No, there were no Saxons that could have followed me back.
And so as the troll and the 3 of the other characters make their way up towards the settlement, you are met by Eamon Demonbane, and Tuka. That's the first person you see. What do you do, Tuka? You don't know he's married.
Yes. I think I will hail Iamon and says, Iamon, it's been a little bit of time. We will have to talk and exchange things that have happened since I had to kind of take a temporary leave from my service. But let's wait on that. Let's wait on that.
I thought you had met. I thought you were married. I thought you had married the miller. Somebody told me I'd married the miller.
I have no idea where that rumor came from.
I don't know. I heard it. I saw you were gone.
Well, I had to go back. My my foster mother, who really I considered my mom, needed me. But I'm back now, and as I say, I'm very excited to see you. But I also have to say, we bring a strange traveler with us, and but maybe after finding out what message our traveler brings, we can kind of sit down somewhere quiet and talk about what has happened in the past few months.
Yeah, we should. Yeah. And I turn to the other guards and say I know her. She's with she used to be a handmaid
and Iamon,
my wife's.
Did you just say wife's? My handmaiden of my wife's.
Yeah, sure.
Your wife. I see.
Well, I thought you oh, hello, Blackwyn. I haven't seen you in a while.
No, I was been hearing stories about little song by a mutual friend of ours about how you beat the Christian devil single-handedly in a dark pit, venturing down into hell itself to rescue a poor commoner. Reminds me a lot of a situation that I was in with you, but credit where credit's due, I suppose.
Oh, right. That, yes. Well, why don't you all come in? And I turn to the messenger and say,
Well, I think when you say I'll come in, Blackmun will be like, have a bit of business we might want to deal with first.
And that's when
his arm.
this hooded figure comes forward and reveals herself again. And slightly draws herself up closer to her full height, so she looks down on you all and says, I bring a message for the boy king. What do you do, Amon?
Well, if she's bringing a message, I will tell her, well, you might enter this hall as a guest, so long as you promise not to drink any Christian blood or other human blood while you are in this hall or around it.
I will follow the rules of human hospitality. And it strikes me that might be a sensible place for us to take our first break. Yes. Now it's 11 minutes past the hour. I need to make a hot drink. So shall we be back in our seats at 20 past the hour?
Yes.
See you then.
The cat is gone.
Yeah, I was impressed by the cat.
She comes and goes at her leisure.
We'll give Will a minute. He may be getting his banana bread out the oven.
Yeah, I hope my internet will hold, but maybe it's the weather. So it's been known
Sympathetic
to have.
magic.
Yeah, it has hiccups when the weather is turning stormy sometimes.
So we cut to inside the larger of the two huts. It's probably about 20 feet across. But it does, because the thatch comes down quite close to the floor at the edges. You know, it's the actual livable space is not vast. And all of you who are close to the court have been bedding down in here, in kind of just bits of the circumference segmented out by blankets. And so by the time the troll gets in here, it really is pretty crowded. You know, she stands on the other side of the fire pit in the middle. The rest of you are sat or standing around the table. And I don't think anyone will have noticed when Tuka and Modthryth and Blackwyn arrive as well, as Eamon has kind of spoken for them. Tuka, what do we see that tell us just how far, you know, apart from the obvious surroundings? What about Manugia? What is it about Manugia that tells us just how far she has fallen? You are muted, Robbie.
I'm trying to remember the details, but there was a dress that was exchanged, and I know that Manugia especially took pride in her raiment, and it is kind of clear just by looking at her clothing. It is more sullied than what you would expect, and is already showing, even though it's just been a few months, it's already kind of looking more, I dare say, common. I would not say that to her, but she does have a more common look to her as a result of her dress.
Because the dress that she gifted you when she took you into her service, you kind of don't wear that often. You reserve it for occasions, and so that's probably in better condition now than the dress that she is wearing.
Yes.
Blackwyn, as you kind of appraise this, what tells you that they're on you know, limited time?
The weapons are dull and ill-maintained, and for people who are being hunted, that's a terrible idea.
Modthryth, this is the first time you've been in the... Oh, this is probably the first time you've been in the presence of a king. How is Sertigan a disappointment to you?
I think that Modthryth is kind of like surprised at how young he is. Like, he doesn't look very capable to her. Like, scrawny, maybe.
And just out of his depth. And perhaps that's reinforced when it is the bishop who looks at the troll kind of in slightly kind of horrified, looking up at the troll, and says, "What do you want here, creature?" And very calmly, the troll explains that, and she goes, "Ah, you're eating my queen's sheep." And there's a kind of, you know, everybody looks at Tredness, who brought the sheep back. And he says, it's just a sheep. It was on the hillside. And the troll says, these are my queen's lands. And while we were content for you to shelter here, you have now taken one of her sheep. You are in debt to my queen. How will you make good this? Amon, what does Ivurius say when he's asked to settle the debt, in effect?
Who's Ivurius? The bishop.
The bishop.
Right? Yeah. I believe that the bishop is he's a bit of an ass. He will not have truck with a heathen creature such as that.
I think you're right. And he says,
and
do you know who you're talking to? Show respect. Kneel before the king. How do you think this is going, Amon?
I think this is going terribly because, and it's not just because of it. Those are her hills. We shouldn't take her sheep without giving her something in recompense. So I will speak up, of course, because I say that I will interject that I invited this messenger from the Mountain Queen to the hall as a guest.
So are you trying to put the bishop in his place?
Probably. Yeah, sure.
Because that sounds a little bit like convince to me.
Yeah. I don't know. Probably. That's not what I'm not very good at that. So maybe I should just go and fight something or face danger. That's a cool idea.
Well, yeah,
no,
it's just what you seem to be trying to kind of just
yeah. It's like I was trying. Yeah. I'm trying. I'm rolling with subtle.
Which is -1, I think, isn't it?
I've got a 4, so do we get XP on that?
You do get XP on a fail. Yeah.
Yay.
So it's not terrible. And the king intervenes now, and in his slightly piping voice, because he's not very used to this kind of public speaking. And he says, Amon, the bishop is quite right. Troll, I am a king. You are a messenger. You should kneel to me. And the troll kind of shrugs, shakes her head, and says, and I think she looks at Modthryth as if to say, what can you do with these people?
I think Modthryth kind of just does like a shaking her head back, and it's just kind of like, just don't rock the boat. Like,
technically, Modthryth is still carrying an advantage in relation to the troll. Is there anything Modthryth wants to do?
so with the advantage, that would just means I get an extra dice, right?
You roll 3 dice and take the top 2, so it increases the chance of a good roll.
Yeah. I have a move that I was actually kind of thinking about using. It's my I see it all move, and I think that Modthryth is kind of taking in everything that's going on, and I think that Tuka kind of explained some stuff while they were traveling together, so she knows a little bit about what's going on here. And so I think that she's just trying to connect all the pieces here, and she's just kind of like looking at the troll, like kind of like just kind of contemplating what's going on here. And I think we'll use that to see it all move.
So you're going to roll 3 dice and add take the top 2 and add sense on the when you consider some sequence of recent events. Roll plus sense to put the pieces together. You're muted, Laura.
Sorry, I take the top 2 that I rolled.
You
All
do.
right, so I rolled 2 3s, so that's a 6 plus 2, so an 8.
The irony of having advantage and rolling just another 3. So 8. So it says on 7 to 9, hold 1. Spend your holds to ask the GM one of those questions, or a question that tightly related to them.
Okay. What was the queen's name?
Gurmund.
Okay. So I think my question is, what does Gurmund want from this community here? It seems like a sheep is a kind of piddly thing. It's just one sheep. I think Modthryth is kind of questioning that. I
think I can say to Modthryth that this seems like a pretext. You're right. It's a matter of principle. It's not the sheep. It's a matter of principle. And what good Gurmund wants is something in recompense. But what that is, I think it is. She wants the debt to be paid, and I think that she sent her messenger here with a particular thing in mind. What do you want to do with that information, Modthryth? Nothing is a valid answer to that question, by the way.
Yeah, I think Modthryth might just sit on that information for now. Just see how this plays out.
Blackwyn, as this conversation is unfolding, what's Blackwyn thinking, doing?
Bloody kings pouncing around. It's all they all bleed and die the same. Why don't we get this over with? And I think as it, the indignation goes on and things like, why don't you pay the trolls for their sheep? And we can all, and no one needs to die here.
Tuka, what's your reaction to this unfolding event?
I think there's some different possibilities here. I think Tuka will step forward to the troll. I imagine that Banus was carrying a load of food and supplies. Tuka doesn't necessarily know what the best gift is to a troll, but she has a skin filled with some pure water from a distant spring, and I think Tuka will kind of step up to the troll and say, I think our hope is that something damaging can be avoided here. We are not looking, I don't think anybody here is looking for trouble. I think maybe as at least something of a overture, maybe you would accept this and take this back to Gurmund with you.
And she picks up the skin and uncorks it, smells it, and sips it, and says, "Thank you. No, thank you for your hospitality. I am in your debt." And then she turns to the king and says, "But you have not paid your debt, boy king. Would you pay it?" Tuka, you can by proxy, Germund owes you a debt.
Yeah, and I think Tuka, I mean, when the troll says that, I think Tuka probably pauses for a second, like surprised with that. But I think she will make a small curtsy to the troll. But you're muted.
Thank you. It wouldn't be a proper game if I wasn't muted at least once. And then I think that the king says, "Amon, kill this disrespectful troll for me."
I look at him and I say, "I cannot. I invited her in here as my guest. I cannot kill her in here."
"Get out," he says to her. And she looks at Amon and she says, "Nobility is not always born, is it?" And she ducks her head and leaves.
I don't know what to say to that. And I say to Sargon, "I do not think, my lord, that this was wisely done. We do not need more enemies."
And the boy blusters, but she didn't show respect, Amon. She's supposed to show respect. I'm a king.
You're a king in a hut, my lord. And you showed her, Mistress, who is a queen apparently, no respect either.
And his bottom lip begins to quiver. And Manugia puts her hand on your arm and says, "Shh, shh."
I will tell the truth as I see it. I will turn to her and say, "I do not know that everybody can say that." And I look at Tuka.
"Ooh, I don't know how to interpret that." Blackwyn, the troll has left the hut. Modthryth is, as the chat suggests, cackling in the corner. Tuka is still slightly taken aback, I think, by that. There's clearly a bit of a domestic about to kick off on the other side of the table. What do you do, Blackwyn?
I think Blackmun will sneer at the family drama going on and stride out after the troll.
Tuka, what about you?
So I guess that Tuka is really putting the pieces together in terms of Iamon's relationship to Manugia now, and that whole situation. And I think Tuka will, approach Manugia and say, I have returned. I apologize for being longer. I wish that I had returned sooner, or even that I didn't have to leave at all. It seems that many things have transpired since I have left, things that are of weight both politically and domestically. But I am here back, Manugia, to do what I can to serve you.
Amon, has Minutia changed since you've been married?
I mean, I've probably just gotten to know her better. I don't think she's really changed. I think she's headstrong. She always has been. So I don't think she's really changed. The circumstances have changed. And I think she isn't somebody who's really, really happy with living in a hut.
I think that probably seeing Tuka then, it's kind of a friendly place and a memory of times past, better times past. And she bows to her brother and says, I think that we all need a breath of fresh air. Come, Eamon, come, Tuka. And she takes you out of the hut. Before,
yeah, I was about to follow Blackmun and see where that troll is going anyway. So maybe I'll just leave the two ladies, whatever's, alone, because all of this is very emotional and you have to talk a lot, and I don't like it. I go see where Blackmun and the troll are going.
Yeah, that's much simpler. Much simpler.
Girl stuff. No.
Modthryth, do you stay inside or do you leave with the others? Because the king is now getting into an argument with Treadness about why you brought it, the sheep, and the bishop is kind of full of himself. This is incredibly insulting, my lord. What do you do, Modthryth?
I think that Modthryth kind of looks over at what's going on over there and just kind of rolls her eyes, silly fools, and skips after Blackwyn to go say goodbye to the troll friend.
Blackwyn, when you get outside, the troll is just standing there.
Yeah. So what does a troll expect in return for a sheep, then?
My queen lost something, and she would like it back.
I can't help you with the sheep, I'm afraid. It's already been eaten.
No, something else. That, I think, is when Modthryth arrives. She was robbed by a dishonest fae. That's when Eamon, Tuka, and Manugia come out of the hut. Tuka,
No. I'm not going with these two. I'm leaving when Tuka comes up and starts talking to Minutia. I don't want to be in this conversation.
Sorry, I misunderstood. Okay, so you're out there at about the same time as Modthryth. Then Tuka and Manugia emerge. Tuka, are you looking for a girl-to-girl talk, or are you interested in the troll?
I'm interested in both.
Well, that's good, because so is Manugia.
Okay.
And so she will stand and listen to the conversation that Blackwyn has started. Chip in as you would like. So you hear her say that her queen had something stolen by a treacherous fae.
Tuka will. I think Tuka says, well, I have had some dealings with the Fae before. They are strange beings, magical, often unpredictable. What exactly was stolen?
A necklace and an amulet.
Why don't you get it back yourself?
She avoids that question, I think, and instead says, my queen simply came to offer an opportunity for the boy king to make good his debt. Implying, of course we could have got it, you think.
I think Blackmun looks over at Iamon and says, doesn't look like the boy. Doesn't look like the boy king knows much about paying off debts to me. But I guess we don't choose our family, do we, Amon?
I guess we don't. Yeah, okay. Look, this is the Mountain Queen's land, right? If I understand that correctly.
That's certainly what the troll is claiming.
Yeah, but I'm asking the troll.
Oh yes, and I think she will probably refer to hang on, something I put in the illustrations. Hang on, there is in the illustrations. Oh, that's right. There we go. Something that soon after you arrived up here in this bit of wilderness, Amon, you came across these crudely carved stone heads. Nobody knew what they were there for. They just became, of passing interest up at the head of the valley. And after a while, people just forgot about them because, they're just these things. They didn't seem to serve any purpose. But she says those are the signs of our ancient possession of this land.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Got some Saxons sniffing around here.
Saxon, Celt, Roman, they come, they go.
Yeah, the way I know these Saxons, they won't go. Unless you make them. But they want us gone too. So maybe we can work to mutual advantage, I guess. And I'm looking at Tuka or Minutia, can somebody else please have this talk with this troll? Why should I do that?
Social status carries great responsibilities, Amon.
Damn it.
But I think if Iamon did look at Tuka seeking some help, I think Tuka would step forward and say, I think if the Mountain Queen would like the amulet, and it is in our power to retrieve it, I think that that seems like a reasonable way to repay the debt. I'm just a lowly commoner, but one of the things about commoners is that we are possessed of some sense, and I think that I at least will do what I can to talk some sense into some people around here who may not quite understand the ways of your queen.
Human nobility is as nobility does.
That is not how it works.
I think we get an insight here into, a fairly sensible troll meritocracy. But sadly, that isn't the way it works. And Manugia says that isn't the way it works. My brother is young. He's just finding his way. He doesn't mean to insult anyone. If I could get this amulet for you, would that help? And the old troll nods her head.
And while we're at this, if we get this amulet, then you wouldn't mind us taking some of the sheep or the animals of the forest, right? That would be okay then.
I think that's a very sensible suggestion, Amon, because winter is coming on. You are going to need that to get through this winter. And I think the troll will I think my queen would agree to that.
Okay, let's go shake some fae down, I guess.
Just random fae. Just find a fae. Anything else before she leaves?
Maybe she could tell us what these things look like. I mean, or who the fae was that betrayed the good queen, good one, something. Information stuff.
All she could tell you is this treacherous fae infests a forest north and east of here. Which isn't terribly helpful, it must be said.
There's forest everywhere, right?
There's a lot of forest.
Mm-hmm.
Towards Rippenham, perhaps? Was that what it was actually called, Rippenham? You're muted, Alan.
I have seen it so written. But I may be playing fast and loose with history. But Verbea here is where the Kingdom of Elmet was based. You have taken shelter in the mountains north and west, and she's indicating this kind of direction. Yeah?
Yeah. So somewhere towards Rippenham then. Like that sort of stretch of the woods. Well, I mean, I guess we can just kill every fae that we meet in the woods between there, and then hopefully it'll only be the one.
We might take one and ask it about the other fae, because that would make it faster.
I think that I'm assuming that the because at this point, the curtain at the hut, light spills out, and Treadness emerges. And as you turn to listen to him, when you turn back, the troll is gone. And Treadness says, "Princess, your brother wants you." And Manugia looks at you, Amon, and it's clear the command is for her, not you. So she kind of shrugs her shoulders and goes inside, leaving the four of you outside. Do we see any conversation, or do we cut to the following morning?
Anybody knows anything about fae? I know they don't like iron.
Peculiarly in this setting, they don't like bronze.
Okay. And I pointed more, Modthryth, I think I know you.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe I'm mistaken. Could happen.
I think Modthryth is going to get really up in your personal space, if that's okay. I think that Modthryth is going to take a step for you and maybe get really close to your face and slowly scan your face. Huh. You know, You wouldn't have. Did you ever accompany any monster, like help out with any monster raids, mayhaps?
Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of that. Were you at that village? Were you injured there? At a fight against monsters, I think.
And then I think Modthryth kind of takes a step back and kind of like gets this kind of like puppy just been kicked look, and is just kind of like and then her eyes kind of gloss over. She says, "Yeah, I think I know you."
So yeah, I think, well, good to see that you're okay, I guess.
I think she kind of cackles. Yes, okay.
Yeah, okay. Look at Tuka and say, you know each other, right?
Say that again.
You know each other, right?
Yeah. I know Modthryth a little bit. I mean, we met. I mean, we met on the road. I mean, we're not. You know, we've had conversations with each other as we kind of made our way up the foothills to where we are right now.
But does anyone ever really know anyone?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, she reminds me of my aunt. That laugh.
Teacher, yes.
Sisha.
Yeah, you've dealt with these loons before. I think that probably fictionally, this might be an occasion. What I'm going to suggest is that Amon and Tuka need to have a conversation of some kind. And that would give Blackwyn an opportunity to, inverted commas, reveal the dark truth, guilt, blah, blah, blah. That was where we were aiming to get your connection. So I'm not going to force it on you, Eamon Tuka, but do we see a conversation now, or are we just skirting over all of that?
That depends on Tuka.
No, I think Tuka is wanting to kind of catch up with Iamon and kind of get a better sense of what Iamon's mindset is right now.
Under the stars.
Yeah, food. We will at least take some food, because you never know where your next meal is coming from. That hasn't changed. Not even since you married a princess, so...
You actually have bread tucked in your jerkin. So you've got food.
Sheep, there's mutton. No, I'm not going for bread when there's mutton. Forget it. I'm getting us some food out, and I think Minutia has to deal with her brother, and then I'll maybe leave them to it. They're going to argue now. I'll get us all some food out, and we can maybe look at the stars or some such thing. And I get everyone some food out, because I don't know if they want to go inside, because it's pretty stuffy inside. And I'm declaring that this is a wild evening, so you can sit outside.
Yeah, one of those last late summer, early autumn evenings when it's still warm enough in the highlands, in the high ground. Now, this might be an opportunity just to point you at the tab that says Gods, Debts, and Temptations. It is possible to put some pressure on other players by calling in a debt. I just put that on the table in front of you. While Eamon and Tuka are thinking about that, let me go back to Blackwyn and Modthryth. because I just want to see that, just briefly see that scene where, you know, Blackwyn has heard the conversation about the village, monsters, etc.
Oh no, I think you conflated two things there, Alan.
Oh, sorry.
I think so. The person I told about the village attack was Tuka, and it was my village attack.
I'm sorry.
I think it was maybe a moment in the cups at some point, crossing paths.
Yes.
But I do think that perhaps the scene between Modthryth and Blackwyn might be Blackwyn like eating as well, like, and sharpening his, readying his weapons and things like that. Maybe Modthryth asking him lots of questions about that silver hand that he's got. Like,
yeah, how does the audience see Modthryth's suspicion of Blackwyn?
So I think Modthryth kind of like her body, like the center of her body weight never gets really close to Blackwyn, but like she kind of like reaches out and like pokes his like silver hand every once in a while, and it's just like, huh. And then like every time she touches it, it like feels like it burned her or something like that. Like she like draws it back really quickly.
Still the same as it was last time you did that.
Interesting hand you've got there. She pokes it again.
I used to have two of them. He waves to the other one as well. Like,
did you misplace the other one?
No, I know where it is.
Why'd you leave it behind? That seems like an important thing.
Well, it was either that or get my throat bitten out by a wolf. Bloody priest who did it anyways. One of those mystic types. Can't swing an axe to save their life. Or mine, it seems.
What's wrong with us mystic types? And then she kind of like waves her hands above her head and like doing the fingers.
Well, it's all well and good having your eyes on the spirit world when a blade takes you from this one into it.
Say, where did you get that hand of yours?
Would you believe a deer gave it to me?
A deer?
Yeah.
Can't say that I would.
Well, mystic type like you should recognize Pan.
I can't say that that type of being exists in my my frame of reference.
Oh, well, he carries on getting well. If you come with us tomorrow, you'll see some new creatures.
I think that Modthryth is going to take the whatever you're eating out of your hand and puts it in her own mouth instead.
And think he just stares blankly at you and then gets up and goes and gets himself another bowl.
I think that displays a degree of peculiar suspicion wrapped in fascination. Eotenweard, Tuka, what's the nature of the conversation we overhear under the stars?
I mean, I think Tuka, will, say to Amon, I think for other people in my same position, they would come back and be surprised. But I've long known that you were destined for great things, and it seems like although your current surroundings may suggest some humbleness, you certainly have done well for yourself in terms of your new family relationships.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess. I should have listened to you when you told me that I was destined for great things. I didn't never believe in that. You know that. And then I get a princess who actually thinks that she might want to marry someone like me. Can't believe it. I couldn't, not even when she said yes, I couldn't. But apparently it's true. I mean.
So I guess, well, Manugia, she certainly is a woman who seems like she can handle herself, but I'm a little puzzled as to, I don't know. I mean, well, to be frank, she doesn't really quite seem your type.
Why? Because she's a princess, or because, I don't know, she's refined, because she's intelligent?
It has nothing to do with her social rank. It's just that I guess part of it is my curiosity about what exactly you share with her. I mean, I can see definitely why you would find a marriage to her a kind of beneficial kind of relationship. But in terms of what truly you share,
no, it's not like, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like, oh yeah, this is advantageous. I didn't marry her for that. She's got courage, and she's got a mind of her own, and she's not someone who, I admire her. Okay, I like her. She's kind of, I don't know what she sees in me. You'd have to ask her. No idea.
Well, Iamon, life is full of twists and turns and spirals. Sitting out here with you, I kind of think back to so many years ago when, we were back as youth in our village. And I mean, things were so much kind of simpler and pleasant back then.
Yeah, I remember that life very differently. But my family was dirt poor. So that wasn't that simple. It wasn't that easy. It was never was.
Yeah, but I look around us right now, and I can't imagine, right, thinking about just the past year of what all has happened. It doesn't seem like life is getting any simpler or easier, does it?
Oh, well, look, back in our village, if I had taken a queen's sheep, they would have hanged me. Here, if I've taken a queen's sheep, I still get to eat mutton. So I think life is a bit better for me now.
We still get to eat mutton, provided we can also retrieve a necklace from a fae. I mean, that adds one extra wrinkle in all of this.
Oh, wow, but at least we get to eat mutton.
Yes. Well, and also maybe at least you and I can go off hunting for a fae with an amulet. That sounds kind of intriguing to me.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Oh, that's too good a line not to cut on.
Yeah.
So let's cut to the following morning, I think. And Eamon, you have a move called the powers that be. When you negotiate with local authority figures, ... It would seem to me that that might be a way into explaining that maybe there's a way out of this.
explaining to my
Well, your
brother-in-law.
king, yeah.
Oh yeah. How old is he?
I think he's probably about 15.
Oh, okay, yeah, that figures. Okay, yeah, I can use that to explain that to him. Let me see what that move wants from me. My internet is not very fast today. No, inspiration from gods, I don't need that. Negotiate, request help, or making excuses for a failure. So at that point, I just have to convince him that this is a good idea, right?
I think you could do this without his permission. It's just, I suppose what I'm opening the box on is, do you want to go official or unofficial?
Oh, totally. Like he could stop me from going official. But I will talk to him, sure. Probably Minutia has said, go, convince him.
I think she may have done.
Yeah, that's a very good motivation to just, yeah, okay. Can you still hear me?
We can.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay, good, because my picture froze over there for a bit.
And Sabine, let me ask, when you confront the king, are you doing this by yourself, or is anybody else going to be with you?
No, I mean, this is breakfast time. Come on, everybody's going to be there.
Okay.
Because I think he'd be more, I hope he would be more collected if there are lots of people around and he has to keep from losing face, right?
I suppose the dice roll will tell us that.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I will explain to him what we've talked about with the troll messenger envoy. Minutia has taught me that word, envoy. That's a good word. So I'm going to roll for it with sense, I think, right? Yeah. That's a lot better. Well, not a lot, but a bit. And I've rolled exactly the same thing, a 5, so it's a 6, so no.
Did yours move? I didn't see them move at all. Did they actually spin?
I think so, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Right. Now, as long as you're happy with that. Oh, wow, this is going terribly well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not.
All right, so she's at a 6 right now?
She is at a 6.
Yeah.
Okay. So could I do a help or hinder, a help move?
You certainly could.
To assist
Just
in this.
Tell me what that looks like.
That would be neat.
Tuka sees that Iamon is having some difficulties expressing himself to the king, and I think Tuka will kind of step in and say, King Sertigan, I know this may be a little bit presumptuous of me, but I have traveled, though I am young, I have traveled quite a bit, and I have encountered many strange people and also strange beings along my way. I've heard quite a bit of trolls, and you the best way with trolls is not to be rash. I kind of understand that that you took the messenger to be threatening, but look, I believe that there is a way here that that will ultimately prove your wisdom and your nobility. If if you can come around to kind of seeing the possibilities in you know, what the messenger wants us to do, I think ultimately you will win the respect of those around you, and you will, perhaps this will be the starting point of your rise to glory.
Roll plus subtle. Let's see how that goes.
Isn't that just a help move? Wouldn't you roll that with, or do you roll? Ah, you roll that with subtle, right? Okay.
Yeah, when it's a social.
You can cash in a debt, though. If Amon were to call in a debt from Tuka at this point by looking pleadingly at her, then that could turn it into an automatic 10. Erase a debt of honor when it is called in and you agree to the holder's demand. So if Amon calls the debt in and you agree, then help hinder a character they name as if you'd rolled 12 plus on that move.
I totally would look at you with this help now, please, and I'll catch another arrow for you, or 5.
Yeah, well, and I think with that, I think Tuka would definitely give a wink to Iamon, and we'll take that. So with this, I don't even need to roll, correct?
No.
It's
no,
just
you just erase one of the debts that's between you, and you get a 12 plus, which is their outcome increases by 1 full step, so that 6 becomes 7 to 9 without even trying.
Mm-hmm.
And on 7 to 9, you get what you need, but any failure will bring trouble. And I think, Eamon, that the young king kind of buoyed up by what Tuka has said to him and thinking, well, maybe I need to make this decision on my own. And he says, Amon, I would be grateful if you could solve this difficulty for me. But over his shoulder, you see the bishop looking at you, and the bishop is looking at you as if to say, and if this goes wrong, Eotenweard, Demonbane, don't come back.
Like try to make me. I'm not saying that loud, but I look at him back like, this is my wife's household, so forget getting rid of me. But I will say to Sertigan, yes, my lord, your highness, I think, or your majesty, he's a king, your majesty.
Lord works. It's good
Lord,
catch-all in Saxon courts.
Yeah, and we're not a Saxon court. We're a Celtic court, right?
That's true.
But he's my brother-in-law, so Lord will do it. I will say, yes, my lord, I will do my utmost to fulfill this quest that I have been given and bring back the Mountain Queen's favor. And I will bow and wander off. And then I wander back and say goodbye to my wife.
So sadly and so quickly an afterthought. Let's cut then to you making your way to the northeast from where you are. Actually, not northwest, northeast. Just got me. Blackwyn, what is the most significant event in the first day of travel?
I think we see some sort of sign of either the trolls, or the Fae. I'm not sure how far into the woods we are. We can get an update there. But something, either the people who sent us or the thing we're going for.
Okay, shall we take a quick 5-minute break? Because I'm conscious I'm well over.
Kind of the threat hanging over it now.
and we'll just deal with that when we come back. Okay, so shall we say 25 past the hour? See you then. Sorry for that, missing that spot. So, Robbie, have your schools opened, or did they ever close?
We did the last part of the school year in a remote environment. So we kind of quickly, it happened during our week-long spring break is when they made the decision to go to the remote. So we had at least a few days to make the pivot to that. So we were, we went to a different schedule, and then we were, conducting class in front of our computers with the video. It worked better than what I thought. I mean, it wasn't ideal, but it actually kind of worked better than I thought it was going to work.
Yeah, that's where I'm picking up on the grapevine. It could have been a lot worse. Anyway, enough of this professional interest. Blackwyn, let me ask you this question then. During the first day of travel, what is the sign of a Fey presence that you notice? Because I don't think we've ever encountered the Fey straight up.
No, we haven't. We thought we had done, but it was a bit of a red herring, wasn't it, from Blake's part? I think that it's hard for me to separate the Fey from like Lords and Ladies of Midsummer Night's Dream and that kind of thing.
The Fey have not been described in any way in Eotenweard so far, so this is not to create fiction.
We could meet the Queen in the North. I think that the thing that we see is wildlife following us.
Yes, and can I suggest that it is cold, but the wildlife are behaving like it isn't. So there's something odd going on. What do you do with that information, Blackwyn?
I think I put a quiet word in Iamon's ear about that wildlife's acting strange. You ever kill one of these things before?
I've killed a moonlit boar who was apparently a Fey creature, so they don't like church bells.
You bring one?
Nah. Forgot mine.
Didn't think so.
Oh, well. But my falcon has been in fairy realms for a bit, actually. Falcon.
Yeah, he peers at the falcon there, which is
but
either flying or on your shoulder.
She's not really talking to me about that.
You sure it's the same falcon? Peers suspiciously at it.
No, but looks the same, behaves the same.
Well, I don't think we'll be taking them by surprise anyways, is my point.
Oh. I mean, maybe I know it's a novel idea, but maybe we don't even have to hit them. Maybe we can, I don't know, steal it? What?
That's not what Advantageous led me to believe about Iamon Demon Hunter.
I'm not a demon hunter. I killed one demon.
Yeah.
I have to say that's not quite the way Advantageous tells it.
Oh, wait, it's not right. I killed a demon in the church anyway, so I killed two. Okay, I killed two.
And the army, and the Titan, and the blah blah blah, and he'll recount the whole the glorious claims of
Yeah, well, I've killed a lot of stuff, but at this point, I've blindly rushed into stuff. Yeah, mostly I got my ass kicked. So I like to know a bit before I go in and hit things.
All right, well, it's your game, Amon, your family. You point us. You lead the way.
Yeah. What I would ask the ladies Modthryth and Tuka, they had any experience with the Fae. Oopsie.
Time for Tuka to reveal something, perhaps.
Tuka will say, I don't necessarily want to go into the details, but I've had some acquaintance with the Fae. Now, I don't know if the Fae that we are pursuing. I mean, I don't think we should paint, all the Fae with the same brush. But at least I have a little knowledge of beings from that realm.
How'd you get that?
Yeah, I'm
Tuka,
standing. Yeah.
How much do you spill, Tuka?
I think you definitely would see Tuka blushing, and she says, "Well, it was, let's just say, a relationship that I had with one of the Fae, and I won't deny that it was intriguing and interesting, but from what I can tell, that relationship is over."
What was the Fae's name? Just for, curiosity's sake.
Findel.
Okay. So, there are these strange portents of a sudden drop in temperature, yet the birds are behaving as though it's a warm summer's day. What do you do, Tuka, when Findel steps out of the woods?
My jaw drops, and I will. I think I will look around first of all to see if my companions see Findel, or if it's just me.
That's a really interesting question. And I think I want time to think about that. I think that that's a good point to break the session, because I think I want to think about that as well. I hadn't thought that one through clearly. But yeah, we're a bit early, but I think by the time we do the end of session stuff, we'll have caught up a bit. So let's do that end of session now, and we'll pick up at that point next time. So you will find underneath the experience track a couple of end of session experience prompts. So let me start with Tuka. Did you put yourself at risk by confronting a better, Tuka?
I think I did. I mean, in terms of being forward with Sertigan, I think, well, and just my behavior, I think in the court as it is, I think was not what would normally be expected of a commoner. I think she was definitely kind of stepping forward in a way that was, a bit risky.
No, I'd absolutely agree. So give yourself an XP for that. And did you address a challenge with common sense?
I think I might say yes. I mean, I think, for example, the troll and the kind of offering of some gift to try to kind of help diffuse the situation would have.
No, I'd agree. I think that everyone was carefully sitting on their principle and position, and when you just did the common sense thing, so I go for that. Blackwyn, yours are a bit violence orientated. Did you land the first blow on a dangerous foe? Now, sorry, I couldn't think of a way to give you a dangerous foe who wasn't important in this session. And likewise, I don't think it's fair. I don't know. Addressed a challenge with violence.
No, I didn't. No.
No. I will endeavour to give you an opportunity to do that next time.
You can't kill them all, Alan.
No, well, I think that's, you know, some of the nails were the wrong shape today. I'm sorry. Modthryth, did you put yourself at risk by telling, inverted commas, the truth as you saw it?
I don't know. I mean, the only thing I can think of is like when I was my first gut reaction with the troll, where I was like, "Hey, it's just another traveler. We should go walk with them." But I don't know if that would be more address a challenge with irrationality.
I think that certainly counts as address a challenge with irrationality. You spoke out in the hall though, didn't you?
I don't remember. I definitely laughed.
I think
But I sat on
myself.
it. Yeah, I think I kept to myself.
You
that Iamon
did.
Yeah.
You did. So just the one for you then, I think. And finally, Amon, did you put yourself at risk for payment like a good monster hunter should?
Well, yeah, I tried to talk sense into my brother-in-law because my wife had asked me for it. That is
I give
putting
you that
myself
one.
at risk for payment. It's
It is.
not money, but, well, being in my wife's good books.
You know, money can't buy you love,
idea.
Amon.
Truth.
Yeah, Ventusias has a whole range of songs just like that. Did you address a challenge with cleverness?
I don't know. I mean, I was clever enough to ask Tuka for help, but in a situation that I certainly was not very good at, but I don't know if that's what is meant here.
I think that's probably stretching it a bit.
Yeah, maybe.
I think we're looking for a cunning plan, Amon.
Oh, yeah. Good. Great. I love me and my cunning. Well, I told Blackmun that we should have a cunning plan.
Yeah.
But,
I think next time, let's look to see that cunning plan in a bit more dimension. Then let's have a quick stars and wishes, because we've got a bit of time. So let me just get my bit of paper ready. Okay. Can I go? Let me go back the other way then. Start with Sabine. Stars and wishes. Any stars?
Yeah, sure. Stars for everyone. Stars for Blackmun, for the scruff. I want to hit something, but okay, I'm not hitting something. And to Tuka for being back. Yay! And for still being the diplomatic soul of the party. And to Modthryth for the way I've seen a lot of loons played, and they're always different, and I like that way. Like I'm a bit besides myself, but not totally out of it. I like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, and stars to you, Alan, for bringing this situation to our attention and having a troll there. That was nice. And
then there was a troll. Lara, any stars?
Yeah, no, everybody was really fun. I like the diversity of the characters. I really appreciated that conversation between Tuka and Iamon. I thought that was really great fun. And then, well, I just love the way you play Blackmun. They're great. I think that they're going to be a lot of fun to play with. So.
Yeah, wait till he starts killing things. Will, any stars?
I think my main style will go for the family drama and the politics of it all, because I'm always reminded of how, we go on these like little individual monster hunting things, but you have indirectly kind of told the story of like these different kingdoms and medieval things from King Beda to the fall of Northumbria and blah blah blah. Like it's all. I'm learning vaguely remembered things.
Yeah, no, don't never quote me in an exam. And finally, Robbie, any stars?
I had a wonderful time. I like the real variety of the the characters here, and it's a kind of really interesting kind of mix of different personalities, and I think different ways of seeing the world and different ways of approaching the world with clearly different strengths as well as, you know, flaws or weaknesses that we all kind of carry with us. I'm kind of intrigued by the development at the very end, where we actually with Iamon and Tuka now have kind of two intertwined love triangles that are kind of starting to kind of swirl with the appearance of the Fae. I wasn't expecting. I mean, that bit about the Fae in my backstory, that was done, you know, a year ago, right? And here it is, you know, kind of being kind of brought back. Yeah, so that's kind of was an unexpected and very fun little twist.
Well, you know, way back then, I was keen to explore that because that was the first time that Fae had ever been mentioned in the game, really. So no, it was good. Yeah, my stars. I hope that you didn't mind me making space for all those relationship things. I was conscious that I could have advanced the pace a bit, but we might cover that on wishes. Let's go back round then for wishes. Sabine, any wishes for next time, particularly?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to have a monster to hunt, actually, but I mean, I am also very happy if we have yeah, character drama and relationship stuff, because that's kind of the meat on the bone of the game, right? So
yeah.
And
we've got 5 sessions to play with, so we've got a bit of space. Moving along, Lara, any wishes for next time?
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed all the relationship stuff. But yeah, I think that a little monster hunting action might be fun. I also, this is kind of a more selfish wish, but I really want to play with the capering fool move. I really want to seem either inconsequential or harmless. So that's exciting.
Or if you're lucky, both. Will, wishes for next time, as if I didn't know. No, don't let me make that stereotypical assumption.
I'm actually okay with not hitting things, but I would like there to be a threat, and I'm sure there will be one. You know, because this was the setup kind of thing. At the moment, the pressure is not high, kind of thing, and I'm sure it will escalate, and I'm looking forward to it escalating.
Good. And then finally, Robbie, wishes for next time.
Yeah, I mean, I really like, I loved the troll, and I think I'm going to like to see exactly how the Fae turn out in this. It seems like that's going to be a different type of monster for this group to encounter. So I'm just kind of intrigued to see how that will develop.
Yeah, and I'm just very curious. My wishes across this series are to see the relationships develop, because sometimes the plot is just a means to that end. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording. So wave bye to the internet. It's StreamYard, so you have to wait for quite a while.